Welcome everyone. Today, Emil Sandel is going to share with us his wisdom about how he is running his Veribull account using some simple technical analysis. I'm going to give the stage to Emil right away. Just wanted to say, thank you for the work that he has already put in to make our Veribull experience better, and now he just continues to deliver. So thank you for that, Emil, and the call is yours.
Thank you, Valerie. Nice to be here again. As I mentioned on last week's call, if any of you being here today saw that, or maybe I just recap a little bit for people to see the recording as well. So I've been basically using EA trading software for around 2 years now, and Veribull specifically for at least some months. Was part of the beta testing group before we got it available publicly in Warrior Prime, and been testing it a lot on many different accounts and strategies. And as I mentioned on last call, I started to a little bit dislike the fact that I got so much into drawdown using it, getting caught in this big trends on the wrong side, which reminded me on some of the situations I was with other EAs like Einstein, where I got into drawdown that's just lasted for many weeks at the time, which was very stressful. And I guess many people can relate to that as well, because I know there's been some trending moves in the past couple of weeks here as well, and I think many people are at the point stuck in some big drawdown on the Veribull trading accounts, and I was so as well, and it tended to happen specifically when I was just running the default settings as they were, and it seemed to me like it always picked the wrong part of a trend. And I think probably that's also as it's supposed to be, because as Hannes mentioned, it's really designed for these sideways going markets where it's like going up and down, but the average move is kind of horizontal. But for many of the pairs we are trading, like the USD pairs and all of that, they've been trading for many months, if not even the entire year on many pairs, because of the US dollar getting so weak over time. And it's something I just looked into to find a way to get at least less drawdown, less stress, and at the same time still get the profits I was making. So I was trying a strategy on a demo account for some months that really proved so much better than all the other accounts I was running on the standard default settings. So I just decided to keep with that when I went live and use that strategy on all my accounts, and it has been working very well so far. And that's really what I wanted to share with you today, to just give some insights and perspective. And of course, like when it comes to trading in general, no one can know how the future will going to be, and I can't promise that this is like the magic solution that will work for always. And I'm not really a professional trader either, but it's been working very well so far. And I think both logically it makes sense to me, and also I can show you just briefly the MyFXbooks on the accounts I've been running for it, to just give you an idea what it has done so far. So if no one, I shared this on the last call as well, but maybe share it quickly to people who are seeing this for the first time. So here is one of the live accounts I'm running currently. Just cover this quickly before we dive into what the strategy is. So this one has been this is since December the 1st on a live 3K account. I was running some GBP pairs on it at some point, which tends to get a little bit more bigger moves, so I got myself into a little bit high drawdown on this, and then on some of the more conservative accounts I run, but it's still only 3% and made over 9% so far on roughly 2 weeks, which I think is quite comfortable. Here is an account I've been running as well, and a live account which I've also got in the first part. Here I was just running the default settings and not all the time, and here I started with a new strategy on this one. Had 2 more risky pairs out of 4 in the beginning, which got me to some drawdown, so I removed them here, and from that point it has been doing very well. Let's see, just for the last this week, it's doing 5% this week with 1.67% drawdown. Another watch I've been running more conservatively the entire time. 1.6% drawdown, 7-8% gain so far. My live account for a little bigger account as well, started with 10k and I did some more, 13k in deposits. Now it's up to 15. I've been running it for didn't run it this entire time, but see the last week. So this week it's done almost 3.5%, 0.68% drawdown, and then I have the last one, which I've just basically run as more as an experiment with some more aggressive settings on all 28 pairs, just the 15 pip range between levels, just to test it, and it's been doing. I got caught in some big, the GBP pairs made some crazy jump in the beginning of this week, jumping over 150, 170 pips from Sunday to Monday, which I got myself in the wrong side of, so that got me some higher drawdown, but I'm basically out of them right now. It's just the second week it's running 15%, but making such big jumps with the GBP pairs on 15 pip interval is something I just saw from this, that it's a little bit too aggressive if you want to stay at the lower drawdown. So I will continue to run my, the normal strategy of 25 pip range between levels on those ones. So basically this is how it's worked so far, and like the logic behind it is, if we look at this chart here with like the USD CHF pair, which I think many people are in drawdown right now with. So I just saw like these big trends on the, I'm looking at the daily time frame, and if we just look at, for instance, from almost 1.5 years, it has been trending downwards, or 1300 pips basically, and see all her big moves at Corona outbreak, but really the entire year so far it's been in a long downtrend. And when you use the default settings, and it typically goes and plays buy orders at all the time when it moves like this, something I witnessed. It can be kind of dangerous if you get stuck in your first trade at a point like this, and it just moves 300-400 pips in down before it really retraces anything. And to be able to really handle those kind of moves, you need some really big distance between levels, range pip range. So I thought, if I can see something like this, why not just eliminate all the buy trades? So I just follow the trend instead. So basically just seeing Veribull now as not really as a counter trend software, but more something that follows the trend instead. So I just disabled for this pair to take buy trades and only allow short trades, and then when something like this happens, it's continue to just take profits all the time. And the only time you get into drawdown is when it makes like a short-term retracement like this. It moves, in this case, 140 pips up against the trend. But what I really count on is that the trend will continue at some point and will get me out of that drawdown and make that into a profit, which I think is much more, or it is much more likely to happen than betting against the trend and hoping for a short-term retracement to bring you out, and then take a new buy trend and hope for a retracement to get you out. So I will always like trust the trend to take me out and ride along as much as I can.
Yep. Emil?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. I think the software is flexible enough to allow us to also trade with the trend, right? So we don't have to trade against the trend with that. And this is what you're basically taking advantage of. I think in the beginning of the journey, Dasan also shared this strategy with us. At least once he showed us a pair that was trending, and he decided to go with that feature or with a similar, mindset into that pair. So yeah, I think we totally should learn how to do that and make it take advantage of it. So the two questions that are the most burning is how to recognize a trend, basically what indicators you're using, on what time frames, and how. So what's the quickest way to see that it is trending? And then the second question is how to adjust the settings accordingly in Veribull.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So yeah, good you pointed out that, like, the first, I got the idea basically from Dasan when he showed that at one of the first calls, and really just taking it on from there. But I think see if I can share my MT4 instead. I think it's actually rather easy to see it in that way. Window to the font.
So we don't need to use trading view. We can just use the VPS to determine the trend.
Yeah, I actually I started to do that lately, and
yeah, this is more convenient because
more
you
convenient
can do everything
for most
within
people.
the VPS. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, TradingView is a very good tool to use. You can create a free account if you are interested in learning more about Forex, and it's easy to measure pips and pip moves and all of that. And I can recommend it if you're interested in it, but it's actually kind of easy to do it in the MT4 as well. So let's just bring up like a chart. So the first thing I do when I have loaded it is to go to the daily time frame and zoom out a little bit. Not maybe that much. And then I use two indicators, which are the moving averages, like the exponential moving average, which basically just filters this line to a smaller average line instead. And you can find it on this little indicator list up here. So just click that and let's see if we can move this to this thing. There's a trend. And then moving average, and then I tend to have one on period 10, which is a shorter period, and exponential, the exponential method, and add one, and then do the same thing, trend moving average for a longer period, and we can take another color for that. Looks nice. So we can see we have one with a longer period that is more slow, it doesn't change as often, and one that more narrowly follows the bars. So let's see here in this case. So we have the USD JPY. And the only thing I would do, like in once per week when I set this up on Sunday, and like the first time is like it takes a little bit more time. Now I have never had to touch this when I set it up the first time. I just confirmed that it's like going in the same trend. So I just look at these two lines. Maybe I don't know if it's
Yeah, it's visible. It's visible.
It's visible.
So basically, if the red line is above the blue line, it's a downtrend. And if the red line is below the blue line for a long period of time, it's an uptrend.
Yeah, so that's basically what I say. Like I look at what the previous open bars are closed, and if it's below both of them, I say it's a downtrend.
Could you repeat that? With the bar?
This is like the candlesticks. These are like today's candlestick on a daily time frame. This was yesterday where it opened and closed and so on. So if they have closed below both lines, I say it's a downtrend. It's going down, and you can also like see it kind of easily here.
What if it closes above the blue line?
If it's if it's above the blue line, like if it's here, it's starting to go up towards this, and it's above that one, I just let it to enable both directions and let it decide itself. So
you go with sideways.
I have still used the trend like setting here, but I guess you could experiment with the sideways as well.
Okay, so you go still with the trending option, but you allow both. So in the first two, you set both to enabled, right?
Exactly. So now I disable the buy trades and enable short positions and have the trending feature instead. And the reason I did choose trending was because when I tried with sideways, sometimes it didn't even open a trade in an entire day because it's waiting for like an optimal entry according to the algorithm. And with trending, it just takes the trade immediately and follows it. Probably do more stuff than that, but probably Dasan could explain that better.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I only need to understand the short and long or buy and sell terminology a little bit better. So could you bring up the settings again? So if I recognize a situation like you just shown, that means that the trend is going down and the latest candle was open below the blue line. That means that I want to go with the trend and I only want to allow sell positions. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I allow sell if it's a downtrend, and I only allow buy if it's an uptrend, so the opposite of that, and I allow both if I'm basically not sure in what direction the trend is going to continue.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Trading terminology is like long position is the same as a buy, short is the same as sell. So you just enable that, basically disable the other one because default both are enabled.
So it is going down. This is why you have only enabled sale. And if it would go up, you would only enable buy. So this is basically how we expect Stradamus to work, right? It would recognize the trend and it would only take the natural, let's say, behavioral positions, right? So if it's going down, you want to sell. If it's going up, you want to buy, right? So so it's no longer the counter trend strategy. It's with the trend strategies that we do.
Yeah, but it will, like you see, it will many occasions go against the trend anyway. Like in this case here, it's going up for some time, but we still, see that the overall trend is going down. So it will, close out with profit when some move like this happens, and
I see.
You will still get counter trend and then get out. And
if you are not sure, if you don't see a clear trend, do you just go with counter trend with sideways and both enabled?
If you want to use this strategy and you don't really see an obvious trend, I would actually choose another pair if you have like a smaller account, because it's much safer in that way, and the accounts I've been using it in that way have been almost in no drawdown at all, and many times over in floating profits. And it's when you have pairs where it's much more unpredictable that I get higher drawdown. So I would like add those unclear pairs at the latest point when you have like a big account, and see if I can find a better trending pair at first instead.
I love it. Okay.
So yeah, and also the thing I've been using to that I've tried many different trade intervals, but the one that has worked best for me is to have a fixed interval of 20.
What if we go with the default interval?
Yeah, then it's being it can be kind of wide or big trade interval, and it's really need to have that to be able to handle these long trend moves. But the risk is that you don't get out of the in profit or get out of the drawdown as quickly if you have higher drawdown, have higher trade interval. So personally, I've been using 20 and 25 on the GBP pairs and the Euro AUD, which are the most moving pairs, and that's been working very well.
I also see that you have changed the target profit. You have a custom target profit, not the default one.
Yeah, that's correct. I can post all of these settings or a screenshot in the group as well.
Yes.
But yeah, it's increasing 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And it's also been doing well. And this is of course stuff you can experiment with yourself if you want to try something else. And this is just what I'm running personally.
Okay. Emil, I have one final question and then we can open up the Q&A session in case anyone has questions. So if I would want to start implementing that right now or as soon as possible on my existing account, I could just go in and change the settings from what they are right now. And the sequences that are currently running, they would still be managed with the old settings. Is that correct? And then only the next sequence that will be opened would start running these settings?
Yeah, I think some settings will be applied immediately, like the range between levels. If you change that, it will change immediately, and the target profits and all of that will change. If you change
assuming
the
I'm
direction,
not changing these, yeah. If I'm only changing the first, the settings in the first section.
Yeah, the direction, then it would continue with the one you have right now, and then when it takes the next trade, it will change to that instead.
Okay, so it is, let's say, safe to switch while a sequence is running on that pair.
Yeah, should be.
Thank you. Okay, guys, I think it's great. I will start implementing that probably right away. My approach will be that I am going to try to identify pairs that are definitely, trending. And then on those pairs, I will use this approach, and then I will leave the default approach to the pairs where I cannot recognize a clear trend and that are going sideways. So I will have a mix of what Emil is doing and the standard settings on my account where I'm trading 20 pairs simultaneously. But yeah, I love it and I see potential in it. So thank you very much, Emil. And now if anyone has any questions that you want to ask Emil while you have a chance, go ahead and do that in the chat or just unmute. So I have a question from Jana in the chat. Are there any pairs that have performed particularly well so far using this strategy?
Yes. You can see right here on this is one of the live accounts I run. So USD JPY $31 so far, AUD USD 53, Euro USD 77. So it's a little bit better on all the accounts I've been using. GBP USD is $334. So it's been kind of much better. But if I go into drawdown, it's usually this pair that takes me into drawdown. And you can also see that this is a pair that's I can add these one like we had.
If I save a template, would it
Yeah,
also
I
save the
usually do that.
indicators?
Yeah, so that's
Great.
usually what I what I used to do. So this one has actually been kind of good. It's been moving upwards quite a long time, and here is a section where you would normally, if you enter a day like this, I would enable both ways, because it's moving kind of horizontally for a while and up and down, closing above and below all the time. And when something starts happening like this, I would just enable buy. The last days, we can see we have some huge movements on this pair, on all GBP pairs really. So they have been performing well. If you want to really run a conservative account, I wouldn't add them. I see this as a little bit more moderate, so I added one of the pairs. When I started, I had 2 GBP pairs, which got me to high drawdown kind of immediately. So I just choose like 3 very trending pairs and one a little bit more volatile, you can say. But basically, I would say Euro USD has been performing quite well without so much drawdown, and yeah, I think that's a good pair to start with.
You do not change the settings during the week, right? So it's just on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
And every Sunday you reevaluate.
Yeah, so like for next Sunday, now it's very easy to, if you save a template like this as well, I can just go in Sunday and see if it's still above those, and just check what settings I have enabled, disable. Okay, I don't need to change that one, and then move over to the next one.
Awesome.
And, also, what I like to do is to just set up everything, save a template. Specifically good if you have multiple pairs, and just call it like VB long, and have one VB short and one Veribull.
VB long is when it's trending up, and VB short is when it's trending down.
Yeah, I don't have it both on this one, so you can just basically see, okay, this is a long trend probably, and can load that VB long template. And you get the indicators and everything, and it was correct. I would keep that as a long, and then the same for a VB short, and this is kind of obvious, right, as well, at least on the 1 hour. That's also good to be sure on a daily, and of course that's the thing, you can't get into a template time frame. That's something you need to change yourself
manually.
If you want
to. But you can change before you apply the template, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Emil, I thank you very much for the share. It was very informative, and really I'm wondering why we are not doing this since the very beginning. So it's actually much simpler than I thought it would be. So what it would require from us is basically the willingness to invest an additional few minutes every weekend, which is, I think, not a problem. So we will host our webinars 5 minutes shorter, and then you have the 5 minutes to go through the pairs and set this up accordingly.
Yeah,
love it.
I think like that extra 10 minutes or something, what it takes, that the stress it saves during the week when you don't get into that big drawdown as much often, at least it's absolutely worth it for me. Like I see, like the worst thing that could happen is if like you would choose to like exactly the opposite trend than that it's going, or it suddenly change. Really, then you will really have the same situation as if you go with the default settings, that it's trading against the trend instead.
How would the software basically get out of this situation? So let's say you predict a trend, and then Monday it changes the direction completely.
Yeah, it would handle it exactly the same way as it handles it for you now.
Okay, so it would open additional levels as it goes into
exactly
the opposite direction, and then wait for the retracement, and then take the profit automatically as well.
Yeah, exactly the same as.
Oh, okay. So there is even no risk in that. I mean, the only risk is that it would basically revert back to the original strategy, right?
Yeah.
But it would still basically manage that sequence. So let's just play one example scenario. Let's say I predict an uptrend, and then Monday it starts going down. I have uptrend settings, in the software, and then it goes down, let's say 5 levels or 6 levels, and then it reverses 2 or 3 levels, and then the software would take profit.
Yeah, exactly. So
great.
Maybe like we can see here on AUD USD, if we enter here, for instance, we think, yeah, of course it's below both of the lines. We say it's a short trend, and it starts to take sell orders, short orders. Then it starts to go back. You would get into some drawdown here. You would, of course, get out of profit again, but maybe if you place a sell order here and it starts to going in the right direction, you would have like the same situation as you have now when you have trades against the trend instead, like we have for USD CHF. Hopefully, like you would get out of, with such a move on these spikes, you would probably get out of the trades with this one, and then you should, it would be good if you go in and change it. In this case, if you see a big drawdown on a pair, just keep an extra eye open on that one. If you want, I would like probably go and try to change it to a buy here somewhere. It's probably like the next week if you don't manage to do it during the week.
Awesome. I think if we experiment with this a little bit on a demo to get a feel for it, we will have a deeper understanding. And guys, if you have any questions while you experiment with that, feel free to post them in the Veribull channel. Emil will probably help us out, and I will be testing this as well as many of you, hopefully, and we will help each other out. Cool.
Guys, can I ask something?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Might be again a silly question, but the candlesticks, you have the spikes above and under, and some are shorter and some are longer. What are they, and what does it matter for?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, it just shows how the price has moved. So if you have a green candle, it means that it closed higher than it started. So it's an up move. So like, see if I can zoom in a little bit. So like the bottom of a green is where it started, where the price was when that hour started, that day started. Okay. And the top without the little wick is where it closed. And wick, it's called, is like the lowest point it has been during that day and the highest point. So like, for instance, this one, it opened here at the bottom of the green. It moved up a little, very high way, and then moved back and closed at the top, but it was still like a move in the upwards direction. And the opposite is true for the red ones in this case, like the bear candle. So it starts with at the top of the red ones is where the price opens at that day, and then it closes at the lowest in this case, and max value during the day and minimum value. So if you have the daily time frame, each of these candles are like 1 day. If you have an hour time frame, these represent 1 hour each, and it's a good thing to know. And I would really recommend to anyone to at least go through that Forex basic course that they have in AP, and go through how many of this works as well.
Yes.
It's good, some good basic knowledge to have. But good question. I didn't know either when I started.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Baby Pips is a good website to get this explained. And also, yeah, guys, if you want to start implementing advanced strategies like these, definitely you would need to complete the Forex Basics course, all 3 levels in the EP Academy. And then after that, go ahead and read as much as you can on Baby Pips to learn more about this stuff, right? This is a skill that is very valuable, and the more you understand about how it all works, the less money troubles you're going to experience later. Okay, guys, I want to thank everyone for attending. Emil, thank you for your time. I'm going to post the recording in the Veribull channel as soon as possible. You guys have a great rest of the trading week. Emil, once again, thank you very much.
No problem.
Connect soon, everyone.
Connect soon. Have a great day.
Cheers. Bye-bye.